Callie, Hunter, Brandon. You guys know you meant so much to me and my family. I told Beth and Sally Wednesday night, for those who don't know, each of these three at one point or the other have babysat for us. So that tells you how much we've grown to trust them. I hope that whatever you guys do in your lives, careers, future endeavors, that you will always be willing to babysit for me. I've heard a lot of graduation speeches. When Miss Ann called me this past week and asked me to speak, I thought, I'll just pull some stuff from these. The most memorable ones are the one when I graduated boot camp at Paris Island, my ammo and explosive school at Huntsville, Alabama, on Redstone Arsenal, my undergraduate degree at Francis Marion, and my graduate degree at the University of South Carolina. But when I started thinking about them, they all have two things in common, and that is that they were long, and I remembered nothing. So I recognize the fact that this is not going to be memorable for you, and you probably won't remember it, so I will at least try to be short. I'm going to start by reading Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. This is from the NIV. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. I am a numbers guy. That's what I do for a profession. So according to my very prestigious and highly reputable source, Google, each one of you will meet an average of 10,000 people in your lifetime. For those of you that decide to go away to school, maybe to Clemson, I'm sorry. If you get married, if you travel abroad, like these two down here, the number will end up being much higher. But on average, we'll all meet 10,000 people. If each one of us changed the lives of 20 people we met, and then those 20 people changed the lives of 20 people they met, if you take that out 5 generations, the number will end up being 96 million people. That's about a third of our current population in the United States. If you take it out a couple more generations, you'll reach 3.8 billion. That's about half of our world's population, and it could start with just you three. So it sounds great, right? But you're probably thinking that it's hard to change the lives of 20 people, but you're wrong. I saw it happen every day in Iraq. Young Marines that make spur-of-the-moment decisions that would inadvertently save the lives of entire convoys. A female Marine that Karen and I knew in Camp Lejeune, Corporal Delaney, saved an unknown Marine that she didn't know at the time, pulled him out of a burning truck, cost him his leg, but it saved his life. About a year later, they would become married. I checked this weekend, and I think they have 4 children. I'm fortunate now to work at McLeod in healthcare, and I sit on a committee called the Merit Award Committee, where we get inundated with stories of McLeod Health employees who have positively changed the lives of one of our patients. Every month, it's something where they have gone above and beyond to make the lives of our patients better. And then, of course, in the Bible, there's tons of stories of seemingly ordinary, average people who have created extraordinary change and impacting entire nations. So when you think about it, not only were these patients in McLeod, Marines, and people in the Bible saved by the decision of one person, but their children were saved, and their children's children, and their children's children. Generations saved by one decision. Changing the world can happen, but the real question is, what will the world look like after you three have changed it? Well, despite what you're probably going to hear a lot of, that the world is being ruined with computers, cell phones, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, Snapchat. I'm convinced that you three will make the world a better place. So with that in mind, I'm going to give you a few lessons that I've learned, some of which are from my time in the Marine Corps, some of which are from my time at McLeod, all of which are hopefully applicable to you guys in your next step. The first one I'm going to take a lesson from is from Admiral William McRaven, who was the commander of Special Forces in Iraq and Afghanistan. He gave a speech to the University of Texas outlining life lessons that he learned in SEAL training, but I'm going to relate them from my own perspective from my time at Paris Island, training to be a Marine. So every morning, my drill instructors, who at the time in 2006 were all veterans of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, would wake us up, banging on metal trash cans, flipping the lights on and off, yelling and screaming. We would have 2 minutes to be dressed, beds made to perfection and online, ready for inspection. It seemed ridiculous at the time that we were training to be the generation's next warriors, that they were so obsessed with how our bed looked. The folds in the corners of our beds had to be folded at a perfect 45-degree angle. Our pillows had to be fluffed. Our sheets had to be folded down into a 6-inch line, and they had rulers they would take out of their pocket and measure it. If it was not 6 inches exactly, we would do it again. But as Admiral McRaven said in his speech to the University of Texas, the wisdom of the simple act of making your bed has been proven many times over. He said, if you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and then another, and then another. By the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that the little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you will never do the big things right. And if by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that is made, that you made. And the made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. So, first lesson is, if you want to change the world, make your bed. Within my platoon in the Marine Corps, we were broken into fire teams. Usually this is 4 or 5 Marines that you end up doing virtually everything with. Obstacle courses, hikes, PT, sometimes showering, sometimes eating, sleeping. For those of us vertically challenged Marines, it became especially important on certain obstacle courses that we had teammates there to give us a boost. I have been very fortunate in my life to have Karen there when she was at each of those graduations that I mentioned earlier. She has been with me throughout every step of my education, career, supporting me, correcting me, advising me, correcting me again. Make no mistake, you cannot change the world alone. You will need friends, family, goodwill of strangers, classmates, colleagues, church members, to get you from your starting point to your destination. So if you want to change the world, find someone to help you when you need a boost. Boot camp was a good equalizer. Even though I always thought that the obstacles and events there that we had to do were skewed and were designed to where the bigger and stronger you were, you had an advantage, but it was often not the case. We had one kid in our platoon from the Dominican Republic who had joined the Marines to expedite his citizenship. He was constantly picked on because of his size. He was 5'5", 120 pounds soaking wet. He wore a size 7 combat boot. Somehow, though, he always had the last laugh. He seemed to work harder, run and swim faster, complete obstacle courses before we would. So this lesson is, if you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by their boots. Part of the design of the first couple of months of boot camp is that you'll never be able to do anything right. Our beds, again, were not made perfectly. Our boots were always scuffed. Our sleeves would not be rolled correctly. Uniforms were wrinkled. We missed spot shaving. Even those who didn't grow hair somehow missed spot shaving. Sometimes, no matter how well we prepared or how well we performed, we were still failures. It was discouraging, but it meant so much more when we finally succeeded. Life is full of failures. It will be painful. It will be discouraging, but if you want to change the world, don't be afraid to fail. Throughout my time there, we completed frequently what was called the confidence course, which ironically was designed to make us fail again. There was one obstacle in particular that we called the slide for life. It was a 3-story tower on one end and a 1-story tower on the other end, and a 200-foot rope connected to the two with a pond underneath. You had to climb up the tall tower, swing under the rope, and then go hand over hand until you got to the end. We failed constantly because of the awkward angle. We would get subsequently soaked. It wasn't until the end of boot camp that a couple of Marines in our platoon figured out that the fastest and easiest way down that rope was by mounting the top of the rope and going down head first. It was a dangerous move. They flew down the rope, risking injury, rope burn, embarrassment, but they ultimately made it faster than any of the rest of us. So if you want to change the world, sometimes you have to face obstacles head first. When I went to combat training at Camp Johnson, North Carolina, we had to complete 2 land navigation courses, one during the day and one during the night. For those of y'all that know me well, I am terrible at directions, so I didn't really need anything else to worry about other than completing the course. But before the day course, the instructors insisted on telling us about all of the previous Marines that have received snake bites there. They even went as far to give us a chart so that we knew which snake bit us if it happened. And in the case of any doubt, we were just supposed to bring that snake back with us so we could show them. Sometimes in your life, there are a lot of snakes. If you want to change the world, don't back down from them. For the night course, we didn't have any kind of night vision goggles or flashlights. We just had a compass and a buddy and the skills that we had learned during that day course with the snakes. Sometimes if you want to change the world, you have to be your best during your darkest moments. The last part of Marine Corps recruit training is referred to as the Crucible. This is a 54-hour culminating event of training. It includes sleep deprivation, 45 miles of marching, combat assault course, leadership reaction courses. It's the ultimate rite of passage. During these 54 hours, drill instructors are encouraging you to quit, throw away your previous 12 weeks for a blanket, some food, some sleep. Mere hours before receiving the coveted Eagle Globe and Anchor, I watched Marines give up, cycling back in training or leaving Paris Island altogether. If you're going to change the world, don't give up. Lastly, if I've learned anything throughout my life and career, it's the power of hope. The ability for a physician or a nurse to give a family the hope of healing. Marines encouraging each other not to quit, giving the hope to make it another day. Jesus providing us with eternal life, conquering death so that we have hope. So my last lesson to you guys is that if you want to change the world, share this hope with those 10,000 people that you're going to meet. So just to recap, start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and you will fail often. Take risks. Step up when times are toughest. Face down the bullies. Never give up. And finally, give hope to those in need. Do each of these things, and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than what we live in today. I'm going to close with a pretty familiar passage that Paul wrote to Timothy after appointing him as the pastor of a large church that he planted in Ephesus. Timothy, of course, was much younger than the current leader of this church and was not a popular decision. So Paul wrote to Timothy, 1 Timothy 4, 11 through 16. This is from the Message version. He said, "Get the word out. Teach all these things. Don't let anyone put you down because you're young. Teach believers with your life, by word, by demeanor, by love, by faith, by integrity. Stay at your post reading scripture, giving counsel, teaching. And that special gift you were given when the leaders of the church laid hands on you and prayed. Keep that dusted off and in use. Cultivate these things. Immerse yourself in them. The people will all see you mature right before their eyes. Keep a firm grasp on both your character and your teaching. Don't be diverted. Just keep at it. Both you and those who hear you will experience salvation." Congrats.